After being asked to write about something for people to actually listen to me talk about and not just read it, I jumped at the opportunity to talk about one of these things I'm fairly certain I know a lot about. This happens to be Pokemon. Shocking, right? When I mention Pokemon, I assume all of you listening will instantly think about making the toughest decision of your life as a child, in the old Game Boy games at least. Do you pick Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle? It does take a long time to figure out which Pokemon you want, because it will be with you for the whole game. For me, however, this always ends the same way, picking Charmander. Then you're enthralled with starting off your very own Pokemon adventure, ranging from beating up your rival, doing chores for Professor Oak, and then eventually getting down to catching all the Pokemon and on the road to be a Pokemon Master. So the idea is to catch them all. This has been drilled into the heads of children who had what I like to call a complete childhood, as this is the theme song to the Season 1 of Pokemon. Sounds simple enough, right? Just go around beating up wild Pokemon and throwing balls at them to catch them. You'd think this would be an easy job when there are only 151 Pokemon, right? Wrong. The producers thought it would be great to add a million more Pokemon to the equation, making it pretty much impossible to keep track of the number of Pokemon. I personally get confused after 151. I mean, why change it? My best memories of playing the Pokemon games and watching the TV series were starting out in Pallet Town, seeing our hero who we all know and love, Ash Ketchum, getting his first ever Pokemon, his famous Pikachu. So yeah, from this there are many adventures. Everyone has to remember the emotional rollercoaster episode of Ash first obtaining his Charmander. There Charmander is, abandoned out in the storm, with his tail, once proud and aflame, slowly dimming because of the treacherous storm. That is until Ash hears of an abandoned Charmander in the rain, and instantly takes upon himself to save this lost and afraid Pokemon. People around the world will remember this episode, and it really embodies the love that our hero has for Pokemon, and what they mean to him. In turn, this Charmander wholeheartedly trusts Ash and agrees to go with him, rejecting his old trainer who left him in the storm. It's episodes like these that I recall when I talk about Pokemon, not the newest episodes that have all kinds of different Pokemon involved in them. They tend to just sound silly to me. As the years have progressed, Pokemon progressed with them, leaving behind the old and, in my opinion, favourable Generation 1 Pokemon, and replaced them, essentially, with new kinds of Pokemon which I feel don't measure up to the original. This process has been going on for many years now. The new Pokemon that are brought in are known as different generations, so it goes from Generation 1 to Generation 5 so far. I tried to watch one of the new Pokemon seasons, and after seeing the starter Pokemon, I think it's called Oshawott, I don't even know what that is, but it's blue and like the size of a small rock. I was disgusted that it was not the amazing Pokemon that we all know and love, such as Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. I'm fairly certain that the producers must be running out of ideas now of new Pokemon until they eventually bring it all back to the amazing days of Generation 1. One thing that hasn't changed through the years is, of course, the endeavours of the evil Team Rocket and their constant ingenious, but ultimately futile attempts to try and steal Pokemon to appease the malevolent boss and leader of Team Rocket. Team Rocket is in every single episode as far as I know, and they managed to sing their official theme tune too, foolishly, alert our heroes of their presence and even their intent in every single episode. These guys are a classic signature of Pokemon that I hope will never change. I mean, who doesn't want to see Jesse, James and Meowth blast off again? Anyway, I believe that I've rambled sufficiently to bore you all. Sorry about that. Anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed today's broadcast.